Hi, my name is Cary Stamp. I'm a financial advisor in Florida. And for the past several years, I've worked with dozens of families in Latin America on a concept that allows them to get some investment assets into the United States. They want to do this in a product that's called United States or U.S. life insurance. When you think of life insurance, most people think of a product that you have to die to collect a benefit from. But in the United States, it's a little bit different. You do get a benefit when somebody passes away or when somebody dies, but you can also get a benefit while that person is alive. In the United States, there's enormous tax benefits for life insurance, and I'm going to explain a few of them for people that don't live here because most folks don't understand this. The first one is that U.S. life insurance, if you use it as an investment asset, is done in U.S. dollars. And U.S. dollars versus many of the currencies that my clients normally deal with have done phenomenally well. So you don't have to worry about a decline of the value of your currency. It's in the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar does decline against the value of your currency. Sure, there is some risk, but historically we haven't seen very much of that. So we use U.S. dollars. Number two reason why somebody might want to own a U.S. life insurance policy is because the interest that you earn or the returns are completely tax-free in the United States and generally in any country that you happen to live in. So number two is there's no tax on your earnings or your returns. That's true for somebody that lives here in the United States, and that's true for somebody that lives outside the United States. Number three, the third reason why somebody would want to own U.S. life insurance is privacy. Because there is no tax, there's no 1099 generated by a life insurance company if you don't take any distributions or if you take distributions the right way. There's never a 1099, which is a U.S. tax document that gets sent to the U.S. government or to a foreign government. In this case, there's no reporting that this is an asset that a family might own in the United States. And the fourth reason why you might want to consider U.S. life insurance if you don't live here is safety. Most of the insurance companies that we use are very large institutions. They're generally rated A or better by almost all of the ratings agencies, and they've been in business in many cases for well over 100 years. They're highly rated. They don't report back to any governmental entity. You get to invest in U.S. dollars, and you've got complete privacy in the money that you've invested in the United States. Now, can you have access to it while you're still alive? The answer is absolutely yes. You can have access to your U.S. life insurance policy. You can take cash out when you're in your own home country, or if you decide to move to the United States, or if you have children in the United States, you can access the policy on a tax-free basis to be able to use the money that's in the policy for living expenses, paying college tuition, gifting money to your children or grandchildren, or anything else that you want to be able to do. Are there some rules that are involved in how we go about structuring and obtaining these policies? The answer is absolutely there are. The first thing is that we have to go through a process that's called underwriting. Underwriting means that we take a look at your health history if you're the individual that's applying for the life insurance. We take a look at the source of funds, where they came from, and we have to make sure that the source of funds is a legitimate place. And number three, we look at the whole picture of what your assets and your net worth are to determine how much insurance you would be capable of obtaining. All of this has to be done in the United States on U.S. soil. You have to apply in the U.S. You have to fund the policy from a United States bank, and you have to sign all of the forms and all of the documents on U.S. soil. Typically what happens is that we will have our clients come to Miami or somewhere in South Florida. It could be Texas, it could be anywhere in the United States. They will have a brief medical exam. The medical exam generally takes 30 to 40 minutes. It's with a nurse that comes to their home, if they happen to have home here, or to their hotel if they're staying in the hotel. That nurse will take a blood sample and we'll ask some medical history questions. On top of that, our clients will provide us with their medical reports and their doctor's reports from their physician in their home country. If they're in a foreign language or if they're in Spanish, we have those documents translated, and we take the exam that's done in the United States and the medical records, and we share those with the insurance companies. And the insurance companies that we share the information with will say, yes, we will make an offer on this individual. And the offers are based on ranges of what are called ratings. A typical rating for an insurance policy is standard. Somebody that's in normal health will normally get a standard rating. But some insurance companies will allow even non-US residents to have a rating of what's called preferred. The rating determines how much you're charged for the cost of the insurance. And this is important because if you can get a good rating, you're going to pay very little for the cost of the insurance, and the value of the cash that you put into the policy will build up. There's one more rule that I want you to completely understand. And that is that in order for this to be a tax qualified policy in the United States, we have to make payments into the policy over a period of 5 to 7 years. And this is generally true on younger people. If I have a client that's over age 70, in many cases, we can make a single premium payment into an insurance policy. But I will tell you that writing policies for people that are over age 70 that don't live in the United States can often be a challenge. But if you're in your 40s or your 50s, or even in your 60s, we need to make those payments over a 5 to 7 year period of time so that the policy that we purchase for the client qualifies as insurance. Now, how does U.S. life insurance work? What are the mechanics and what are the specifics? There are a couple of different types of policies that you can use. And the types of policies that we traditionally use for non-U.S. residents are called universal life policies. And there's a reason why we use universal life policies. They're flexible. They are incredibly flexible. You determine how much insurance you want. Let's say you want $5 million worth of insurance. We determine how much the premium is going to be that you're willing to pay. We'll say that you're willing to pay $200,000 per year and that you will pay it for 5 years. That's $1 million that goes into the insurance policy. That $1 million gets invested. And it can get invested either in a fixed account where the interest is earning is somewhere between 2, 3, or 4%, or more typically, we would use what's called an indexed universal life policy. And this is an index account that's based on the return of some type of an equity or a stock index. Typically, we're going to use an index called the S&P 500. Let me explain this. This is often confusing to people. But we use what is called a cap and a floor. So we'll say the insurance company says that in any given year, the greatest return that we're going to give you on this is 9%. But at the same time, in that same year, the worst return that you're going to get is 0%. 9% is the cap, 0% is the floor. So if the S&P 500 in the 1 year period of time that we are measuring returns 15%, you're going to get a 9% return. If it returns 8%, you're going to get an 8% return. It's between 0 and 9. If it returns 3%, you get a 3% return. But if it's a negative return, if it's negative 11%, you simply get a 0. You do not get a return on your investment for that year. However, in these policies, especially in the first 10 years, there are charges for the cost of the insurance and charges for the marketing of the insurance that will reduce the cash value in the policy. It typically takes 7 to 10 years for the money that you put into the policy to get back to even on the amount of money that you've deposited. So if you put in $200,000 a year for 5 years, in most policies it's going to take 7 to 10 years before you have a full $1 million in cash value. After that, a 7 to 10 year period of time, you will typically have a much higher internal rate of return on the funds that are invested inside of the policy. And we are normally seeing returns somewhere in the 5 to 6% range on a completely tax-free basis. 5 to 6% tax-free, completely private, and it's in US dollars. The other thing that you should know about these policies is that one of the ways that you can take money out of this insurance is by taking what's called a loan. So if you have $1 million in a policy and you want to purchase a farm or purchase a piece of equipment or purchase a boat, you can go to the insurance company and you can say, I would like to borrow some of my money. And they will make a loan to you of your own money. You can pay the loan back if you choose to. If you do not pay the loan back, we need to make sure that there's enough cash in the policy that we can continue to pay the cost of the insurance. And if there's a loan that's existing in a policy, when somebody passes away, then the proceeds or the death benefit proceeds of that insurance policy will pay the loan back. So oftentimes we'll have policies where somebody passes away and they've taken money out over the years to live on, and the death benefit of the policy will pay back the money that's been borrowed out of it over those years. So you don't always have to pay the loan back that comes from the policy. You can also make distributions or withdrawals from the policy, and the value that you withdraw up to the amount that you put in is also completely non-taxable. So if you put in $1 million, you can take out $1 million tax-free, and then after that, to make sure that it stays tax-free and we never have any tax reporting, if there still is cash in the policy, we can continue to take it out as a loan. These types of policies are issued by major U.S. life insurance carriers. U.S. families have been buying these types of policies for many, many years. And in the United States, life insurance is one of the most tax-favored assets, the most tax-favored vehicles. So this is not an uncommon strategy. It's simply one that most of the families that I speak with outside the United States have never really heard about, because most people think that life insurance gives you a benefit only when you die. This type of a product gives you a benefit while you're alive. It allows you to transfer funds to the United States. It allows you to put it in dollars. It allows you to have completely tax-free control over the money that you got in the United States. If you want further information on this, you're welcome to email us, go to my website, carystamp.com, or give us a call. I appreciate your time. Thank you for learning a little bit about how U.S. life insurance can benefit people that don't even live in the United States.